It's interesting you should mention that. You're saying that people have come onto your site who know Tim, and they've been saying some
Yeah.
things about him.
Yeah. There was a woman who came on recently, about a week or two ago, and it was right when we were sort of in the thick of seeing, who this Tim was and what kind of things he could talk about. And, our issue that we had been talking about was domestic abuse and domestic assault and how to solve it. And I said, what we have to do, this is the problem. We need to change this law, and by changing this one law, which is not going to cost tons of money, it's not going to require hundreds of more police officers, but it will make a definitive, there have been several studies that have said changing this law to read like this will make a huge impact in the number of cases because it actually, creates penalty for the crime. Right. And he said, no, it's drug prohibition. We have to get rid of drug prohibition because all these cops are being used up for drug charges and they could be out chasing men who beat their wives. And he goes on about how he's so sympathetic for it. And then he started going, well, maybe these women are just so stupid. Maybe they asked for it.
Right.
Because women ask for it all the time. He went on that whole tangent. And then some woman came on and said, well, Tim, you should know more about domestic assault than anybody else. What about that woman you punched in the face and broke her nose? And how about the other two women you've been charged with domestic assault for? And he was like, well, that woman I punched in the nose, she deserved it because she took all this money from me and then she didn't pay me back and then she took me to court. And then he didn't even address the other two assault charges. So who knows if it's real or not. I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes. So everybody just read it. It was a little bit of entertainment. It was really good for the comedy value of it. It just kind of took a little bit of the wind out of his sails.
Well, there's a whole interesting other side of this story that came out last week on my website as well when I got a comment from a lady named Carol Gwilt. She formerly used to run the kind store with her husband, Don Breer. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name correctly or not. But evidently they used to have the Decine store in Commercial Street in Vancouver. And apparently it was kind of successful. And apparently there's this whole level of intrigue involving the Decine store in Vancouver and how it ended up being closed down and what happened. And I'm going to be talking to Carol next week about it, getting more information exactly what happened. But it sounds like Tim had his little tentacles involved in that too. And she's not very happy. And she went on my website and made the allegation that the reason that perhaps one of the reasons at least that Don is in jail for 2.5 years right now is because of the actions and decisions of Tim Felger.
And that's kind of funny because I actually put a link up to that whole editorial, The Final Curtain of Tim Felger, and pointed out that comment of Carol's. I had read that and I thought, how interesting, because my readers are certainly, they all think he is a fool. And a lot of my readers are in, different legal fields. Some of them are in media. Some of them are, people, I won't get into names because everybody likes to be anonymous. But, these are very intelligent people who can discourse on passionate issues with a lot of knowledge firsthand. And they came on and they read this and they just thought, that's interesting. But Tim came on and he actually defended. If you go on to that post, it's linked up directly to your editorial on my site.
Okay.
Tim came back and defended his comment. Actually, he had totally addressed Carol's accusation.
Yeah.
And he went on and wrote quite a lengthy comment about his version of it.
Yeah, he sent me that same email.
She knew she was going to get arrested and she owed me money and blah, 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 blah. It's really interesting when people come out who have some credibility, who actually have some substance behind their words. He seems to find himself faltering, and he comes back, and it's incoherent. It doesn't make any sense, and this is why he's not getting any valid representation or any valid debate. Nobody wants to talk with him.
I know, it's tough. It really is tough. And I did it for 4 years. It was really hard on me. I lost readers over it because some people said, I don't want to hear from Tim. I don't want to, deal with him. I think he's stupid. And my approach at the time was, well, I don't really care what you think. I think Tim is interesting. I think Tim has got some, there's some newsworthy stuff going on with him. And I'm not really interested in your opinion. I'm going to put this on my website. If you want to read it, great. If you don't, I don't care. And do whatever you like. Yeah. And I have lost readers, and some people have said they don't want to listen to the radio show if I talk to Tim or do whatever. And my position remains the same. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. I'll interview who I want to interview. And if you choose to hang around, you'll probably learn something. If you don't, see ya. It doesn't really affect me one way or the other. But there was a line crossed there with his antics, the conversation where he told me to shut up a bunch of times, when he didn't even seem to appreciate, and even admitted himself that I'm the only person that seems to listen to him, and I'm the only person that seems to give him any kind of platform at all, because regardless of how crazy he might be, he does seem to have some logical points, and he has actually provided me with some very interesting, unique stories that aren't getting played anywhere, just because Tim does have some unique resources in Abbotsford. So on the one hand, it's a dilemma of, I don't want to really cut out the source because, there is some really good stuff that goes on. He's given me some interviews with people who have been involved in grow ops and street prostitution and homelessness, stuff I couldn't have got any other way. And then on the other hand, he tells me to shut up when I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm kind of going, well, what is the right solution? Either way, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't.
Yeah, but my theory is you can always make another source. I mean, it's your creativity that will end up bringing you great stories in the end. Whether or not you lose Tim and those contacts, people are going to remember who you are and the kind of issues that you talk about, and they will seek you out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah? I really think that's true. I mean, people have done that on my website. People have contacted me and said, you know what, you should take a look at this. Or they've read something else that I've written and they've said, you know what, I think you're sympathetic here to this. How about this? And I look at it, if there's any substance to it. If it's just somebody, grouching and complaining and, who's got an axe to grind, forget it. Because, you can weed those out pretty quickly. But if there's something valid there, sometimes it starts with just, one or two sentences, and you kind of get a feeling, there might be a little bit of a story there. So Tim, even though, he's been news for us, and he's definitely gotten his day in the sun, I think Tim's time is over. And I think that he lost a lot of ground in what he did in the Abbotsford Parade. There's a time and a place for everything, and that was not it.
No.
Nobody wants their kids. You see crap like that all over the place, all the time. You don't want to see it on Canada Day.
No, not on the family parade.
BC Bud might be the best in the world, but you know what? We got to smell it. It ruins, and some people think it ruins Surrey's Canada Day celebrations. Yeah, no. We had, one of the biggest Canada Day celebrations in BC. I think there was over 100,000 people who attended it in Cloverdale.
Wow.
And the Surrey newspapers were inundated with letters about people, thanks to all the pot smokers who ruined it for, our family who had a seat and had to get up and move because we had 3 small kids and somebody was lighting up a big joint right beside us. There's a time and place, and sure, that might be your choice to smoke pot, but I think even that choice, it speaks so much to the kind of person you are if you can't be considerate of the fact that there's small children beside you and that, this is a harmful substance, just like cigarette smoke, and maybe kids shouldn't be exposed to it. It is still currently illegal in BC, regardless of how many people smoke it. It's just, Tim just, the people who support him don't have any credibility.
No.
Who? He hasn't brought anybody to my website. He quotes a lot of people's, LEAP. He says, you got to contact LEAP.
Yeah, of course you do. But he doesn't entertain any possibility that LEAP could be wrong. It's not possible.
And
it's impossible.
He can believe it all he wants. He can believe that it will work all he wants. I don't ever see it happening. I don't see it working.
No, and I agree with you. And you know what, Laila, what you've done is you've convinced me that I made the right choice. This is why I want to talk to you, because you're a good sounding board, and now I feel better about everything. And I'm like, yes, I made the right choice. So I have a solution to the problem. I'm thinking maybe, 1 week I look after Tim, and the next week you can do it.
You know what? Tim is never going to leave my website. I really do. I joke with him. I'm like, what's your problem? I'm starting to think you have a crush on me because you just don't go away. I don't talk to you. I abuse you. I treat you badly, and you still come back. Like, what? Why? What's wrong with you? Are you one of those men that wants women to walk on their tummies with sharp high heels or something? Like, do you like punishment? I'm starting to wonder about this guy. I'm serious. He just keeps coming back. He just won't go away, And he's like, I've been watching your website for a while. I think you have a voice. I think you're passionate, blah, blah, blah. But I don't get you. I'm like, what the hell is to get? Really, what the hell is to get? I'm just somebody who wants to try and make a difference. And if I make a difference for one person, that's great. If I make a difference for 100,000 people, that would be even better. But, I'm happy with just making it for one. For now, that's good enough for me.